Choose wisely, for while the true podcast will bring you life, the false podcast is harmless phosphorescence. Hello, everyone. Germany's declared war on Thoreau Smiley. Me, your host, who's joining me this week.
We named the dog Scraps. I'm Scraps Cece.
Only the penitent man won't podcast, but I'm Brian Lash.
You're meddling with powers you cannot possibly understand. I'm Alaric Weber.
You did a little Connery in there. A little bit of
Yeah, yours is good.
I mean, that was actually a Marcus Brody line, but
That's all right.
And this is Harmless Phosphorescence. It's the podcast where we watch every theatrically released full-length live-action superhero movie ever made, and right now, all of the Indiana Jones movies. We're transitioning into a non-superhero podcast, or at least a intermittently superhero podcast.
Wait. Indiana Jones is a superhero.
I mean,
His superpower is luck.
yeah.
And speaking like ancient Greek or whatever.
Yeah. His superpower is just like pig-headedly insisting on going forward
and being dreamy.
Yeah, being an absolute dreamboat.
Yes.
The power.
Yeah. So this show is brought to you by our patrons. We got executive producers Michael Beckwith and Atticus Burkett. And you also can be a patron too. Go to patreon.com/harmlessentertainment. We got a lot of bonus content there. We've got Star Wars shows. We have monthly movies. There's a bunch of music shows up there too. We just did. Oh my God, was Encino Man still our last one? We're gonna have a new one coming up, which I still don't remember the name of. This is like 4 episodes in a row. I'm like, what the hell is that movie? But that's real easy. Patreon.com/harmlessentertainment. You too can pay $1 and get some extra podcasts.
You too are also fans.
That's right.
Not verified.
Yeah. This week on Harmless Phosphorescence, we are watching Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
We're about to complete a great quest, the Holy Grail, Dr. Jones.
Oh, rats.
This is it. Look, the shield is the second marker. We found it.
Indiana Jones is on the quest of a lifetime. But for some adventures, one Jones is not enough.
Dad? Junior? Don't call me that, please.
Follow me! I know the way! A race across 3 continents.
And in this sort of race, there's no silver medal for finishing second. Hang on, Dad, we're going in!
Into the homeland of the enemy.
Nazis. I hate these guys. Our situation has not improved.
In his search for the Holy Grail.
How dare you kiss me?
Are you crazy? Don't go between them!
Go between them, are you crazy?
Where's my father? In the belly of that steel beast. Dad! Junior! You call this archaeology? The quest for the Grail is not archaeology. It's a race against evil.
Germany has declared war on the Jones boys.
Those people are trying to kill us. I know, Dad! It's a new experience for me. Happens to me all the time.
Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Have the adventure of your life. Keeping up with the Joneses.
Woohoo! Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Why did they end it with such a ridiculous tag? It was
Keeping up with the Joneses.
That was an exciting trailer. That Keeping Up with the Joneses.
Uh-huh.
What?
Yeah. Trailers have gotten better.
I remember around this time on the radio there was a parody of Me and Mrs. Jones.
Uh-huh.
That was Me and Indy Jones.
They meet every day in a private hotel.
There's a lot of clips from this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a real best of run there. Yeah, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. It was released May 24th, 1989. Running time of 128 minutes. It breezed through that. It does not feel that long. Cost $48 million. Made $474 million. The only reason it wasn't the number one movie of 1989 was a little something called Batman.
Who belongs in a museum, by the way.
Yeah. So, guys, you want to just go ahead and play the box office top 10 game?
Oh my God, 1989. I'm tingling with anticipation.
For the week of May 24th, 1989. This is going to be interesting because, well...
That's a month before Batman, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, it came out. Batman came out in June 89.
25th, yeah.
This. Well, I won't tell you. I'll just go into this. You'll see what I'm. Why this is an interesting one for us to do. Because, all right, at number 10 for the week of May 24th, 1989. Oh, ooh, crazy. Okay. 4 mental patients on a field trip in New York City must save their caring chaperone, who ends up being taken to a hospital in a coma after accidentally witnessing a murder before the killers can find him and finish the job.
The Dream Team?
The Dream
Team. Yeah, Michael Keaton gets movie right before Batman. It was starring... with Christopher Lloyd, Peter Boyle, and Stephen Furst.
Yeah, I mean, I know why people say it's problematic, but I don't think as much. I think it's a pretty cute and funny movie. It's one of those situations where it's a goofy remake of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, essentially.
Yeah.
You know, the crazy guy's not really crazy. He's just with them. Anyways.
Yeah, cute. That's interesting that Michael Keaton's doing the Jack Nicholson role.
Yeah. And it's interesting because Christopher Lloyd was in both, if I'm not mistaken.
Was it? Oh, yeah, he was. He was in Cuckoo's Nest, along with Danny DeVito, the Penguin.
This goes all the way to the bottom.
So, at number 9 for the week of May 24th, 1989, an underachiever and a beautiful valedictorian fall in love the summer before she goes off to college.
Say anything, man.
Say anything. Yep. I always remember the South Park joke where it's like, you got to stand outside her window playing a Peter Gabriel song. It's like, shock the monkey.
Shock.
Yes.
Watch the monkey get hurt. Monkey. Yeah, that would have been way funnier.
At number 8 this week. After a selfish LA yuppie learns his estranged father left a fortune to his brother in Ohio that he didn't know existed, he absconds with his brother and sets out across country, hoping to gain a large inheritance.
Rain Man.
Rain Man. Yeah. Dustin Hoffman went full Simple Jack.
He was so good, it's like he was the Rain Man of playing Rain Man.
At number 7 this week, the new owner of the Cleveland Indians puts together a purposefully horrible team.
Yes.
So that
Major League.
Major League. Yeah. Major League. At number 6 this week. After tragedy strikes, a grieving father discovers an ancient burial ground behind his home with the power to raise the dead.
Pet Cemetery.
Pet Cemetery.
Pet Cemetery.
I thought it was going to be Fields of Dreams. It's not dissimilar in description.
No, it's not. At number 5 this week. To stop an elusive criminal, a maverick detective enlists the aid of a police dog.
Turner and Hooch.
No, it's the other one. James
K9.
Belushi. K9, yeah.
Yeah.
It was the it's the Pepsi to Turner and Hooch's Coke. The
Exactly.
the what was it? The what was the Armageddon and what was the other?
Deep Impact.
The Deep Impact to turn
Oh,
into
yeah,
Ants and
Armageddon.
bugs. Yeah.
Yeah. The Dante's Peak to Turner and Hooch's Volcano. At number 4 this week, an Iowa farmer inspired by a voice he can't ignore.
If Fields of Dreams did come out?
Well, it was out at the exact same time, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he has a Lazarus pit in the backyard that can bring back Shoeless Joe Jackson.
At number 3 this week, Dave is deaf, Wally is blind.
Oh my god.
They witness a murder. But it was
Hear
Dave.
no evil, see no evil.
See no evil, hear no evil. Yep.
There we go.
The last Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder movie. Yep.
Oh, and gosh, it's good.
I haven't seen that one, actually.
Oh.
It's good.
Gene Wilder can read lips, but not very well. But like any deaf person, has to really be watching the lips. And so, was there or wasn't there a woman? What? Fuzzy Wuzzy was a woman? Much of that shit.
One of my favorite ones from that is still just Richard Pryor standing up. You mean I'm black?
Does Dad know? You mean I'm not what?
Yeah.
Does Dad know?
Oh my god.
At number 2 this week, a tough bouncer is hired to tame a dirty bar.
Oh shit.
We already did this week.
Yep.
2 years
That
ago.
movie would be longer.
Yes,
2 years.
we did Roadhouse 2 years ago.
Shut up.
Wow.
Yep, and number
Was that long ago?
yeah, I had to open up the old doc to see.
It was around when we did Galaxy Quest.
And number 1 this week. In 1938, after his father goes missing while pursuing the Holy Grail, Indiana Jones finds himself up against the Nazis again to stop them from obtaining its powers. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, number 1. Of course. Of course it was. And that brings us to the production of the film itself. So they started working on the third Indiana Jones movie in 1984.
Wow.
Right after Temple of Doom. Yeah. They George resurrected his idea for a haunted mansion in Scotland, a haunted castle. They originally hired on Chris Columbus to write the script.
Okay.
So his original one was called Indiana Jones and the Garden of Immortal Peaches.
Holy shit. Like, that's wow.
Yeah. Which it was to take place in 1937, and it had Indiana Jones battling the murderous ghost of Baron Seamus Seagrove III, and then traveling to Mozambique to aid Dr. Claire Clark, a Katharine Hepburn type, who found a 200-year-old pygmy. The pygmy gets kidnapped by the Nazis during a boat chase, and Indiana, Claire, and Scraggy Briar, an old friend of Indiana, have to travel up the Zambezi River to rescue him. Indiana and Jones got killed in the climactic battle, but got resurrected by a Monkey King.
Meanwhile, he starts a lucrative heritage peach business.
Yeah.
Where's the peach?
Yeah, what's with the peaches again?
The Garden of Immortal Peaches is it's a Chinese mythology thing.
Okay, but is
Gotcha.
that better or worse than the Dial of Destiny as a title?
Dial of
That
Destiny.
title still irks me a little bit.
Yeah,
It
it's not a
doesn't
great
feel- feels like a comic book title and not a movie title.
It at least has a question there. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, what's that movie about? Well, it's about the Garden of Immortal Peaches. I guess it is.
There was supposed to be a cannibalistic African tribe, a Nazi, of course, with a mechanical arm, and Betsy.
They're the worst ones.
Yeah, and Betsy, a stowaway student who was suicidally in love with Indiana.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Suicidally in love?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. And a pirate leader named Kezir.
There are
Oh
too
my-
many characters.
Too many characters.
Yeah.
She wrote, "I'm gonna kill myself" on her eyelids.
It's just seductively flashed them in class.
Um,
I suicidally love you.
yeah. His second draft, which was 1985, removed Betsy and replaced her with Dash, an expatriate bar owner who's working with the Nazis. The Monkey King forces Indiana Jones and Dash to play chess with real people and disintegrates each person who is captured.
Oh no. Indiana Jones can't kill people like that though.
Yeah. Indiana would marry Claire in this. They actually started location scouting in Africa, but they abandoned it because of its negative depiction of African indigenous people.
They made them cannibals. Yeah. That's terrible.
It was too racist for the 80s.
Yeah.
Let's see. Then Spielberg. Spielberg is the one who suggested introducing Henry Jones Sr. George Lucas was dubious of the idea. He thought the Holy Grail should be the story's main focus, but George convinced him. Then he hired Menmo Miles to write it. He was the writer of Color Purple and Empire of the Sun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why this has a little more class. At least to me.
Well, we've got a few more writers to go. Still,
Oh, fair enough.
Still, but yeah. Yeah, so Menmo Miles began an all new script from scratch. He was originally going to go to Montségur, which is in France. Venice was in that. He was to take the Oriental Express to Istanbul. At the climax, a Nazi villain touches the Grail and it explodes. Then when Henry touches it, he ascends a stairway to heaven.
What?
There's a lady.
Yeah.
Sure.
There was a nun named Chantal in that who was to travel with them, and at the end, Chantal chooses not to go to heaven but to stay on Earth and be with Indiana Jones. Yes, Indiana Jones turned a nun in that.
I mean, it's Indiana Jones. Let's not kid
yeah,
ourselves.
okay.
Yeah, well, if you read the fine print, staying on Earth is not a great idea.
Yeah. The prologue.
Definitely choose at that point.
Yeah. The prologue had Indiana in Mexico trying to get Montezuma's death mask.
Oh.
They weren't completely happy with this, so they brought on writer Jeffrey Boehm to work on a draft. Jeffrey Boehm, who is the credited writer on this, also wrote Inner Space, The Lost Boys, Lethal Weapons 2 and 3.
Wow, I like all those.
Yeah. And Chevy Chase's Funny Farm. So they can't all be winners.
There's one funny part where he keeps trying to make a call, but the operator insists he's in a payphone. So he keeps trying to trick her to think he's depositing money. Drops a coin in a mason jar. Anyway.
Yes. So Jeffrey Boehm, his draft was pretty close to what we have in the film. The basic bones are there, the structure's there. It's all the story beats. He's the one that came up with the idea of them not getting the Grail in the end, because he said that's how the first two end. He said the father-son relationship is what they end up saving. That's the real MacGuffin of the movie, is the father-son relationship.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking it's an interesting one for Father's Day, which is today is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah.
Because dads, man, what a trip.
Well, and kudos to Harrison Ford for acting so well in that scenario.
The father-son relationship in this is amazing. Both
he's
of them.
He's a totally different character.
Yeah, every time
Whenever
he's around
he's
his
acting
dad, completely different. Yeah,
completely different, because we all become children around our dads. Like you're not a grown man as soon as your dad is giving you shit.
The way he just says the word "dad" is perfect.
Yeah, they're so believable as father and son.
Oh my god, they are one of the all-time great screen duos.
What's the age gap between them?
Yeah, we'll get to
12
that.
years.
It's not big. Yeah, we'll get to.
No, it's not big.
But it's Connery, so I could.
Yeah. Oh, fucking Connery. So at this point, they had hired on Sean Connery to play Henry Jones Sr., and Sean Connery himself took a gander at the script and made a number of suggestions for it, which they adopted. Most of the comic dynamic between Henry and Indy were Connery's suggestions.
Good for him.
This is the funniest I've ever seen him.
Yeah, absolutely. One of his other suggestions was the prologue about young Indy being a kid.
Oh my god, that's so important.
It's so important, yeah.
And it works so well.
Oh my gosh, it works so well.
Spielberg was unsure of it, but he was convinced. Due to this beginning, he was later awarded the Distinguished Eagle Scout Award by the Boy Scouts.
Are you serious?
Yeah. They made him an honorary Eagle Scout.
Yeah, that's a dubious honor.
This is the only thing that ever made Boy Scouts look cool, is Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
If you've seen The Fabelmans, there are many scenes where he's making a childhood movie, but you see that he's using tricks that he would later on use. And there's some great scenes that are almost identical to the River Phoenix type stuff. Just beautiful. This opening sequence. Well, thank you, Sean Connery, because it gets you hooked right away.
Yeah.
Some movies have to take 2 hours of a prequel. Yeah. This was here's how he became how he is.
Yeah, and it was perfect.
Yeah, and it's silly.
Yeah.
But it looks cool. Like, yeah. We'll get to that because we're not even to the movie.
But they get to show the real clownishness of Indiana Jones, the real sort of ineptitude and living by luck.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's the thing is he's capable, but also he's bumbling.
Yeah, he says that even River Phoenix, he never has a plan.
Never.
The plan is, I'm gonna go get that thing.
Yeah, exactly. The final rewrite came from Tom Stoppard.
What?
Yep, Tom Stoppard, who wrote Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. He did work on Empire of the Sun, Billy Bathgate, Shakespeare in Love.
Yeah, he's a playwright by profession, but he's written novels. Yeah, he's like
novels and screenplays. He does, but Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead is his biggest work by far, I think.
But he has that, like, he fits in that Terry Pratchett, like Douglas Adams sort of like sphere of British.
Yes. Yeah.
Sarcastic, snarky kind of.
Absolutely. Yeah. He let's see. He has a dialogue. He has an uncredited rewrite on Revenge of the Sith, which I don't know how much. I mean, it is the best prequel.
It is.
But yeah.
I wonder if George called him. He's like, "What should we do with Anakin?"
It's like, you're kind of
turn him into Vader. I don't.
Yeah, like, I don't know, George. What do you want? So yeah. Of course, Steven Spielberg directed. George Lucas produced. Frank Marshall produced. Frank Marshall was second unit director on this too.
I didn't know he actually like dabbled.
Yeah.
I always knew him as a producer. Most of our childhood, he Kathleen Kennedy.
He produced Penny. Or wait, was that Gary? That was Gary that produced Penny.
Gary Marshall.
Yeah. Yeah. So as far as our cast goes, other than Harrison back as Indy, we do have Sean Connery as Henry Jones Sr. And yes, Sean Connery was born in 1930. Harrison Ford was born in 1942. 12 years difference.
I didn't that young. Wow. Or I mean that he's that old. I had no idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's funny. I love it. They love to do it now. You know, a woman who's like 3 or 4 years older than this, whoever's playing her son. Is just.
Well, I mean, Sally Field.
Yep,
and
the Sally
Tom
Field,
Hanks.
Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Or Marissa Tomei, like, oh, she looks so good for ... Like, she looks good. Period, Dickles. Like,
yeah, she just looks
she's
good.
not matronly.
No. Let's see. This was an interesting point in Connery's career. What had he had just
Hunt for Red October?
That was right after this. Let's see. So he had
Highlander.
Never Say Never Again was 83. I can't believe he played Bond until 83.
No, that came back.
Yeah.
Well, he left and came back. But I'm saying, like, I can't believe he played Bond as late as 83, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Because that makes him, what, 53? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he was born at 30?
Yeah. I mean, it's right on the verge. He was definitely looking a little old for Bond.
I wonder if does MI6
Bond retirement?
I wonder if they make you retire after a certain age. They must
just put you out to pasture, you know.
It's like I'm 0080. I need a walker, but I can still do the job.
Yeah. Actually, looking at this, his 80s were pretty great. Highlander, Name of the Rose.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
Such an underrated movie.
The Untouchables in 87.
Yeah.
Yep. Leave it to a wop to bring a knife to a gunfight. I can say that I'm a wop, folks.
The Presidio, I remember that was Mark Harmon. It was okay.
The Rock was around this time. Right?
Oh no, Rock was like
93.
after.
Yeah. After this, of course. Yeah, Hunt for Red October was in 90. The Russia House. Oh, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. I forgot he was King Richard in that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and yeah, as we know, his last role was the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Not long before that, he got a lot of acclaim for Finding Forrester, right?
Yeah, Finding Forrester was like his last big Oscar play kind of movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one with "Who's the man now, dog?"
Yeah, who's the man now, dog?
That will forever be linked in my mind to McJunkin just going nuts on that. Who's the dog now, slippity man, dog? Dog, slippity dog.
It's as funny as Tommy Lee Jones's rant in The Fugitive.
Yeah.
So, is this our third Connery movie?
What was our second?
Time Bandits.
Oh, yep.
Then what was the first?
League
of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah,
Are we going to do
The
Zardoz?
extremely accurate.
Oh, I'd love to do Zardoz someday.
Because, he's a superhero, right?
Oh, Zardoz.
Is that the one where he wears that
The thing. The outfit.
The super monokini thing?
Yeah.
The dress.
His Met Gala outfit.
Allison Doody plays Elsa Schneider. I'm sorry. I'm 12. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's like when my little niece says buttholes. It was hilarious.
She was a Bond girl for Timothy Dalton. She could have been a Bond girl for Connery, though. That was View to Kill was 85. That was only 2 years later. She was Irish, huh? But yeah, so View to Kill, that was her first movie. She was in Major League 2. Yeah. Oh, she was in RRR. What the hell?
The new Bollywood movie?
Yeah, that just came out
last year.
that everyone loves. Yeah.
Writing Arithmetic.
Yep.
The movie.
Yeah.
3 R's.
She was okay. I feel like she was the least of the 3 classic Indiana Jones ladies, Marion and Willie.
Yeah,
she's
she
a
is the
fucking
least.
Nazi.
Yeah.
She's
I feel like
just
I'm not super impressed with her performance. I feel like she's the weak link. She was okay, but they could have gotten someone who was a little more kinetic.
More plucky.
Yeah.
They've had a lot of pluck so far.
I could see in her
something about a German that just doesn't say pluck.
Yeah, she was just okay.
Julian, she was almost a prototype from that point on of the double agent, the 1930s Agent Carter type. They were the chick in Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah,
she's almost a direct lift.
Yeah, absolutely. Julian Glover played what was that dude's name? Walter Donovan. He was Veers in The Empire Strikes Back.
Oh.
Apology accepted, Commander Veers.
Thank you.
He was in For Your Eyes Only in 81. A lot of James Bond connections here.
Yeah, that's interesting.
He played the spider Aragog in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. But
did he wear a big spider suit?
I hope so.
I wish it was from
They're like, this is a recording booth. You're only doing ADR.
He went full method.
Yeah. But one of those Spirit Halloween costume ones.
Yeah.
Where the arms are connected by yarn and they just move. and for some reason.
But his career goes way back. His first film was Tom Jones in 1963. So way back there. Just a British character actor throughout the 60s, 70s, 80s. He was in King Ralph. And he is still currently working. He was just in Tar. Tar. I don't know. Have any of you guys seen Tar?
Not
No,
yet.
you've talked me out of it.
Yeah. What's your beef with Tar again? I'm here for it. Let's
It's just like what if a lady could be mean? It's basically Tar.
That sounds great.
What if a lady
Yeah,
sexually harassed people?
Oh wow.
Well, what if?
Yeah.
Wasn't that Jennifer Aniston Bad Bosses movie?
Yeah, yeah. You know, Tar. It's the Joker for lady conductors. Lesbian Joker. That's it.
Lesbian Joker.
All right. See, that makes it sound attractive.
Oh yeah, no. See, but it's like lesbian Joker, but also long shots of, I don't know, Bern or whatever fucking German city she was in, and like the sky.
Ugh.
I hate the sky.
I don't even
Is
see
it-
Thrift.
Isn't Bern in Switzerland?
Okay,
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. Dusseldorf. I don't know where it is.
Bremen, maybe.
Oh, I think actually it is in Dresden. I don't know, but
I've been to Dresden. Had a weird vibe. But maybe that's because I was just thinking of Slaughterhouse-Five. the whole
yeah,
time.
I couldn't go to Dresden without just thinking of Slaughterhouse
Yeah.
5.
Yeah, it bummed me in a way. We didn't mention. I'm sorry to interrupt you. When we were doing the cast, we didn't mention River Phoenix.
We did not. That's on me. All right. Yeah. Let's go ahead. Let's talk about River Phoenix. So yeah, this was Let's Stand By Me was the first place I saw him.
Yeah, but then I just saw him constantly from there.
Or maybe Explorers.
I feel like it was around the same time. But
Yeah, those came out real close together. But yeah, he was just a kid actor, and then after this, I feel like after this was when he started being like, "Oh, this kid's like an actor."
Yeah, La Femme Nikita was her vet.
Yeah, La Femme Nikita, Running on Empty.
Oh man,
that was a good
yeah.
one.
Mosquito Coast with Sean Connery.
Mosquito Coast. Oh my god, I watched. That's one my dad had on beta.
Oh yeah, it's great, and the novel. He was phenomenal. He transcended his age. He's one of those actors. It's like, yeah, he started young, but like even in Stand By Me, the character was an old soul, and you could tell that he was.
Yeah, no, he had a lot
It's just phenomenal.
going on.
Talented
He is,
kid.
yeah. My Own Private Idaho was
Oh man,
like that was amazing. That was only 2 years after this.
yeah, that's a fucking movie.
Yeah, because of course he passed away October 31st, 1993, outside of the Viper Club in LA off of the Sunset Strip. He was there with his best friend Keanu Reeves.
I think his brother. I think Joaquin.
Was Joaquin there? I thought Joaquin was much younger.
Could be. And I'm not sure if Johnny Depp owned a part of it. He owned it for years.
Yeah, Johnny Depp was a part owner of the Viper Club. Yeah.
And just OD'd.
Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah, well, Joaquin Phoenix is 4 years younger than River Phoenix.
Then it was another sibling because he had many. He was
Yeah.
a part. He was in that Children of God
Mm-hmm.
cult, one of the most disgusting organizations. They make the Catholic Church look quaint.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, at this point, Joaquin is the carrier of the Phoenix mantle.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was that River Phoenix. That was, I think that was kind of like the first like Gen X like celebrity death that like stuck out, like before Cobain.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say because it was. Yeah, I think it was the first time we saw an actor that we had kind of grown up with die tragically.
Yeah, our first our generation's first like pop culture loss.
Yeah, Ricky Nelson.
Yeah. So yeah. All right. Thank you, Josh. We would have been remiss to forget about River Phoenix. So yeah, this film, it was reviewed by Siskel and Ebert, of course. They fucking love Indiana Jones.
Our first film is the third and last Indiana Jones adventure, and although this production is exceedingly well made, save for a rousing ending, I wanted more humanity, more wit, more laughs. More of a film like the original Raiders of the Lost Ark. In Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Harrison Ford meets a beautiful Austrian archaeologist who helps him look for clues in the rat-infested catacombs of Venice for the location of the Holy Grail, the legendary cup Jesus drank from at the Last Supper. The most important character introduced in this film is Indiana's archaeologist's father, played by Sean Connery. He's been captured by the Nazis, who also want to find the Holy Grail. What is so about the movie is its machine-like march through Nazi lairs and caves in the hunt for the Holy Grail. None of it is bad, it's just of a piece. Thunderous to the point of pushing one away from the screen. And I didn't believe the father-son relationship between Connery and Ford. I just saw two good actors occupying the same space next to each other.
So are you voting thumbs down?
Yeah, reluctantly.
Because I'm voting thumbs up. I enjoyed it. One thing I will agree with you, though, is that the plots are very similar between this one and the first one. Remember, in the first one, the Nazis were after the Ark of the Covenant.
Right.
This time, they're after the Holy Grail.
Right.
And
you didn't get tired at all when they were just going through the story? Didn't you think, gee, I've been through this before,
well,
it's a little loud?
No, I didn't, and I'll tell you why. You've got to realize this is the third in the series. Maybe Spielberg is wise to end it at this point, because we are now familiar, essentially, with what we can expect. Strange locations, unbelievable adventures.
Snakes or rats.
Snakes and rats and so forth. I did enjoy a lot of the art direction, especially that wonderful dirigible and the way it looked and the way the plane took off from underneath it. I thought that was terrific. I liked the look of Venice and the look of those catacombs.
Do you remember your reaction, though, to the first one?
The first one was absolutely smashing. It was a great film, but it was also a new film.
A new kind.
It was a new film in the sense that I hadn't seen that energy level before.
Right.
I hadn't seen that technical level before. I hadn't seen Harrison Ford in that role before.
And I felt
there's
I'd
no
seen
way
all
that Spielberg can win with this one. I think it's a very good film.
Well, I felt like I had seen it before, and I didn't. Did you really believe they were father and son?
I
didn't.
Gene, I don't. Earlier, you were saying the film didn't have enough humanity. I don't go to an Indiana Jones film for humanity. I don't go to an Indiana Jones film for convincing father-son relationships.
But if it
I go for action and stunts. I thought that Connery had a couple of good lines in which he was trying to be strict to his son.
It's just not as strong as I expected to be.
Well, okay. Our next movie is a strange doomsday fantasy named Miracle Mile.
Okay, so...
Oh, Miracle Mile is a wild movie.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Wow. I did not expect a thumbs down.
Neither did I. I don't know.
I love the way that guy drops the match like he's the Salt Bay guy.
Just so petty of an action.
Yeah.
Taking so long to do it.
Gene just completely wrong. Just wrong. There's more humanity
their relationship.
Go ahead, Josh.
Go ahead. Yeah. No. Good point.
I was just going to say, I think there's more humanity in this than either of the other two because of the father-son relationship, which I thought was so great.
Yeah. And starting it out with him as a child, like, what gives you more humanity than that? Even in the first two, I wouldn't say he was two-dimensional because Indy is awesome, but you had that feeling that he has no personal past.
Yeah.
Only this archaeological pursuit. Yeah, there's nothing but humanity in this. You show him growing up, then you show him running into his home to tell his dad something, and all of the weird dad rituals he makes him go through, like counting to 20.
Yeah.
I don't know. I bought it all. Gene's a dick.
Yeah. Yeah. Gene doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
I feel like Spielberg didn't show up to somebody's bar mitzvah or something, and he's taking it out on him.
Yeah,
he invited Spielberg to his son's bar mitzvah.
Like, I want him to make movies. Please come.
I have a little side question. If that was the cup that Jesus drank from at the Last Supper, but then also collected his blood, did he steal that goblet from that restaurant?
Yeah.
Like a margarita glass you really like, you just sneak it out.
That was one of those bring your own cup restaurants.
Actually, he went to a lot of those.
They didn't want to wash the dishes.
It's true. That's true. He was at a lot of occasions where the cups were empty until they weren't. Jesus, they're getting married and there's not enough wine. Sounds like every mom at a wedding.
Jesus is like, all right, fine.
All right, wine for everybody.
It's just before this I saw I've seen it before, but a video where it's like, hey Mary, look, I baked a pie. How'd you bake a pie? We don't have an oven. God did it for me. Joseph, do you see how stupid that sounds, Mary?
I read one recently that was like, imagine if you only knew Jesus Christ professionally. Like you come home and you're like, honey, you should hear what they did to our carpenter.
He still has our stool.
Yeah, like that's the only way you knew.
No, I don't think Jesus wouldn't be the type to take things. He would leave his tools behind. Definitely. Like, didn't that guy leave like a screwdriver here?
Our bathroom's in the middle of a remodel.
It's been going on for months. Whatever you do, don't pay half up front. You'll never see him again.
So, all right, guys.
You'll never see him again. He'll be back in 3 days.
I feel safe blaspheming because Sean Connery's dead and he's not going to slap us.
Oh my God, yeah.
I feel safe for so many. Yeah, he was a slapper.
Yeah. Oh my God, was Sean Connery a slapper? At least in this one, he wasn't slapping ladies half his age.
Yeah. Have you seen the Barbara Walters interview clip? Where she like tries to call him out on his misogyny? Because he had been quoted as saying sometimes a woman needs to be slapped. And she's like, do you still believe that?
Man, he slaps the shit out of Barbara Walters.
That would have been hilarious. But...
You could tell he wanted to. But he didn't even hesitate. Absolutely.
Oh, Sean Connery. All right, guys. You ready to get into it?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Why don't I have a clever line?
Drop the guns, please.
Yeah, so here we go. This is Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. We open in Utah in 1912. We meet a teenage Boy Scout, Indiana Jones. Of course he was a Boy Scout.
Yeah. A lot of his little tricks are like scout techniques, the way he gets out of rope, the way he does. Yeah, he's definitely a scout.
Unlike the whole Baden Powell thing too, like the outdoorsman thing. They survive in freezing cold or in the desert.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He discovers a group of men digging up a crucifix owned by Coronado while exploring some caves. Believing it belongs in a museum, he steals the crucifix. And we get a chase.
So I wonder if bandits brought it to Utah. Utah seems a little far north to have been a gift for Coronado.
I mean, Coronado, he made it to the Pacific, didn't he? But I don't know if he got into Utah or not. I don't know. I don't remember.
I don't know. That was just occurred.
The Colorado does go down through parts of Utah, so I could see that.
And that's southern Utah there. I mean,
it's near Monument Valley.
Yeah, near like Moab.
Monument Valley.
Yeah. But so there's a chase. He's on horseback. They're in car. All of the little bits here are so great. Everybody's lost but me. When he calls the horse.
So funny.
Oh
yeah.
Oh no! Everyone's.
That's the thing.
Go
ahead, Al.
When his friend Herman is afraid of the snake, he just picks it up.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
It's just a snake.
We see the origin of his snake fear. Yeah, absolutely. That is a key component, I think, is like Indiana Jones's unending confidence that he's just
Yes.
gonna do a thing.
And that everyone else is wrong. Like,
Yeah.
that's almost a Looney Tunes line. Like,
Yeah.
you come out of a cave and the group you're with are gone, but they're the ones that are lost.
Exactly. Yeah, so they go to a circus train.
That fat-faced round friend, the blonde with the, like, he looks
Hermie.
straight out of the Hermie. He looks straight out of the 30s or something.
Yeah.
Like, this is a perfect little character actor, like a Fatty Arbuckle type.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, yeah, and speaking of like those old movies, like this whole train thing is so Buster Keaton.
Oh my God, I
Yeah.
was gonna say Buster Keaton. Yeah, there's some scene.
Well, and there's
Far out,
that
yeah.
long oneer of them on top of the train.
Yeah.
Multiple stunts and tricks included. It looks so cool. It's so well framed.
Yeah. So like, I mean, yeah, straight out of a Buster Keaton movie, but it looks so good. Like so good. And the single well, okay, and here's where he gets his fear of snakes when he drops into the snake tank. He gets the whip, and that's where he gets the scar on his chin, which is Harrison Ford's scar. And the one shot where he gets into the box and then runs out the back of the train, that as a single shot is incredible.
Yeah.
Even like for some reason he whispers magic to himself.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't sound like there's an opinion on it. He's like sees the sign on the door, magic. I don't know, because he has such a hateful relationship with magic.
Yeah, he does. God, yeah, just like a tour de force of like
setting
fun.
him up.
Yeah, it's like classic Spielberg, like perfect set piece.
Yep, kids, bad guys that aren't so bad.
Yeah.
Well, and was this advertising basically for the idea of the show later?
I don't know if
Indiana
Lucas
Jones?
had the idea first for the show or this gave him the idea for the show, but
Because that's very George. Like, I want to make TV. Because he always wanted to make Star Wars TV.
I mean, considering that Sean suggested this opening sequence type thing, I wouldn't be surprised if he and Steven like looked at how well that actually worked, and we're like, I bet people would like to see more. That's my theory.
Well, and the Young Indie Chronicles are now available on Disney Plus for the first time ever streaming.
And that's what's his face? Flannery?
Something like
from the guy from Boondock Saints is what I think of him as.
Well, yeah, I mean, because he plays in there, it jumps around in time. So there's like 3 actors that play Indy throughout it, but the main teen one, was like Sean Flannery, something like that.
And it's supposed to be edutainment. Also.
Yeah. And Harrison Ford appears in it as Indy at one point, as an old Indy with an eye patch.
Wow.
Yeah.
I hope we get to see him get an eye patch in Dial of Destiny.
Yeah, well, that's the question. Are the Young Indie Chronicles canon to the Indiana Jones universe then?
Yeah, are they? Yeah,
yeah. So
because obviously Dial of Destiny's post-war, but it doesn't. I think it's the 50s.
I'd love to see him with
that was
60s
Crystal Skull. 60s, yeah.
It's the 60s.
Because Crystal Skull was 50s. Right?
Yeah, Crystal Skull was like mid 50s. Yeah. So he so Indy gets home.
I ran all the way home.
Ooh, wow. Ooh. Stand by me.
Yeah, absolutely. That soundtrack, that was my
I wore that cassette.
Yeah, that was my introduction into like 50s classic rock.
Oh,
not my
so
real
good.
not my introduction, but it like helped spur an interest for a little while.
Good times, great oldies.
Yeah. His father, deep in work, ignores him, but the town sheriff arrives along with the Boy Scouts and forces Indiana to hand over the crucifix to the robbers who give it to their employer. It's a man in a Panama hat. This is where
I love that. So he's credited as Fedora, the head robber,
Mm-hmm.
but he's he's got the Indy look. Like Indy stole his look from this guy.
Yeah.
Absolutely did. It's just like him finding the whip in the lion car. Like you realize how these weren't necessarily conscious decisions. Like Indy his identity was hobbled together by what he sort of grabbed around him.
Yeah.
Probably to rebel against his father, who was very studious and fucking uptight.
Yeah, this was apparently the single most important day in Indy's life. He got his hat, his whip,
his hat,
his car.
So glad we saw this day.
Yeah.
And I love it. I love his line too. He's like, "You lost today, kid, but that doesn't mean you have to like it."
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Good advice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good advice for Indy.
Yeah,
he
and
doesn't always keep his prize.
Yeah, and like this guy isn't necessarily a bad guy. He's just he's just hired to do a job.
Upset.
Yeah.
Even the dude who we get to know more later, but he's just outstanding by his car. Like nobody wants to see this kid hang. They admire his pluck, but at the end of the day, it's like in the real world, Indy, people pay money to have things found and yada yada.
Yeah.
But yeah, nobody's mad at him. It's almost as if, especially with the sheriff, like, oh, another Indiana Jones adventure. Or hygiene. Well, like a Tom Sawyer character.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
he's very much Tom Sawyer.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting because it's like the question is, in the end, was Indy even right? Like, was he right to take the crucifix years later, even because it belongs in a museum? But no, actually, Indy, it belongs in Mexico or maybe Spain.
Right. That is the question it goes to. Is he right?
Yeah.
I think that's why the Nazis are important, to be that clearly defined evil and the motive being evil. Everybody else is sort of looking for treasure.
Yeah, the quest for the Grail is not about archaeology. It's a battle about good versus evil. Like,
evil.
Like, it makes it easy for us to be like, oh, cool.
Yeah, we can be on board with it.
This in 2023, it's like, oh yeah, seriously, he's just stealing antiquities and taking them to the British Museum or wherever.
Well, I think it's interesting that the only thing we ever actually see him deliver to the museum is the cross from all three movies. He did, like, the Ark ends up with the government.
Point.
In Temple of Doom, he gives the rock back to the people. There was no artifact he was ever going to take to a museum there. And in this one, he doesn't get the Grail. The only thing he ever actually delivers to Marcus Brody on screen is the crucifix.
That's interesting.
Beginning of Raiders, he had some trinkets. He didn't have the gold idol, but he had some minor things.
Which, again,
wasn't what he was after.
Wasn't what he was after. Yeah, true. But again, probably should have just stayed in Peru. So, all right. We hard cut to 1938. Indy's on a boat in the middle of the ocean. There's a storm. He's trying to get the crucifix back from the man in the Panama hat. There's a big fight. The boat explodes, and Indy gets away with the crucifix.
Coronado. No, that was the name of the boat. Sorry.
Okay.
No.
Oh, interesting. They call it the Coronado, huh? The man in the Panama hat was really into Coronado, apparently.
Yeah.
We cut to the university. Indy's teaching classes. He gives Marcus Brody the crucifix for the museum. And then we discover he's the world's worst professor. Could you imagine trying to pass this class?
No.
He's never around.
Sorry.
No, go for it, Josh.
No, I lost it. Go ahead.
He's never around to grade anything. You can never get any time with him to discuss anything. No office hours. Yeah.
And in most movies, each class is approximately 30 seconds to 3 minutes long. Just enough time to underline some shit.
Yeah. But yeah, he's a terrible teacher. And the horde of students looking for his office hours greet him when he goes back to his office, so he locks himself in, finds a small package that came from Venice, and escapes through the window.
Something I thought was cute is that his class is still full mostly of girls, but not completely. It's more co-ed this time. And they're sort of crushy, but they don't make a big deal about it. But as they're all leaving, he has a real smirk on his face.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of interesting where he's like, he's expecting a little more of that seductive energy.
Yeah.
Subtle, but like everyone just sort of walks by him, but he's like, hey, they still dig me.
So yeah, he gets taken by several men against his will to a fancy dress party where we meet Walter Donovan, a rich guy who's found a partial tablet that contains clues as to the whereabouts of the Holy Grail. We get a dump load of exposition about the Holy Grail and the knights and all that stuff.
Right.
2 came back to Europe. 1 stayed in the Middle East.
Just to start a modest business.
Yeah.
called Killing Muslims. That was the name of his business.
Well, modest, eh?
It was a falafel shop.
Appropriation on top of it.
He's like, but with a twist.
It's only pork falafel or something terrible.
Pork falafel. Oh my.
It's English. It's English fusion,
and it's boiled.
Yeah,
everything's
with
boiled.
mushy
pork falafel.
with mushy peas on top because fucking English people have the worst food ever.
I know. I saw a picture of like baked beans on like non-toasted bread. The caption was like, "England's over here eating like the Germans are still flying overhead."
Yeah. I saw what a guy was proudly posting his like cricket match food, and it was fries covered in mushy peas and brown sauce.
Yeah.
And someone just replied, "This is why we revolted in 1776 because of this shit."
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No cuisine whatsoever.
Mushy peas and brown sauce, like motherfuckers.
Yeah.
So yeah, we let's see. We find out that Donovan was financing Indy's dad's research, but his dad has disappeared. We cut to Indy and Marcus.
Indy's dad is. I just want to get to this real quick because Donovan looks like a Nazi. He looks like a bad dude.
Yeah.
We find out later that this chick is a bad dude.
Mm-hmm.
She's a Nazi too. Henry Sr. is a little comfy with Nazis.
He was.
Or is he like sleeping with the enemy so he can beat them to the grail?
I think that. I don't think that the Joneses have much personal ideologies other than this belongs in a museum sort of thing, or the pursuit of history and science. So I think it's more like that, Brian.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's a means to an end.
Well,
I mean,
I don't think he was paying attention.
Yes.
That's a good way to put it.
Because he didn't figure out she was a Nazi until they slept together.
Well, and he didn't tell her, obviously. He didn't like call her on it, I don't think.
Right. But there's no reason for Henry Sr. to disappear unless he's suddenly discovered they're Nazis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a good point. And they don't have very good bullshit detectors, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
They can read people fairly well, but at the same time, they're easily duped. Maybe it's just because of women, they're like seduced or something.
Raiders, that monkey fooled him.
That monkey fooled him hardcore. That monkey should have been shipped to The Hague and put up
the monkey's
in front of a tribunal.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. At the Nuremberg trials.
Nazi monkeys. I hate
But
them
I think
almost as much as human monkey or human Nazi.
Human
I
monkey.
think Al's human. The monkey Nazis were, they were ruthless. You think Nazis are bad? I think Al's right. I think that they're just not necessarily paying attention to the social cues around them that might help them figure out.
Or they're paying attention to the wrong social cues in the sense of they're just trying to get kissed.
Right.
They want to get kissed and get the thing that they're after, and that's all they're paying attention to.
Mm-hmm.
But they discover that his house has been ransacked that day, apparently.
Yeah.
And
mail was open that day. There was a photograph of him holding a newspaper.
Proof of life video. It's like, if you don't send 7 crosses of Coronado in an unmarked bag.
His dad's Netflix account is still open. He was watching Stars on Mars. So, all right. So they, Indy remembers the package he got from Venice. He opens it. It's his dad's Grail diary with all the clues he ever collected about the Grail over the years. He and Marcus head to Venice, where they meet his father's partner, helping him with the search, Elsa Schneider.
A nice, trustworthy name in 1943.
A beautiful, blonde, and not at all evil German woman.
Not at all.
Actually, she's Austrian.
Okay, fair.
Oh, yeah. They made that distinction so clearly during World War II.
German
to
Hitler.
Germans.
Yeah.
That was kind of a sticking point for Hitler, was what was Austria and what was Germany.
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
She could have been a Von Trapp daughter.
She could have been.
She could have just been Von Trapped in the whole situation. Saw no way out.
Instead, she Von Braun, or what's her name?
Eva Braun.
Braun, that's right.
Von Braun. So
is she a Von Braun, or is it just Braun?
I think it's just
it's
Braun.
just Braun. Then there's Werner von Braun.
That's right. I'm thinking of Werner.
Rocket scientist. Yeah.
So many Germans whose last names are Brown, because Braun is just Brown.
Yeah, they were one of those cultures where, like the English, where your name was what you did.
Yeah.
Schweinbauer, Heidelbaum, yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, those Germans, man, they got a word for everything.
Cleveland's football team was originally the Browns.
That's why they've lost so much. It's just a front line of skinny German guys.
Could you imagine naming a football team after the worst color?
And then have the color be orange?
Yeah, it wasn't even that color.
Their team colors are brown and orange. The helmet is orange. I don't understand. They're like named after the gorgeous Cuyahoga River.
So she takes
brown.
So Elsa takes Indy and Marcus to a library, the last place that his dad had been seen. Indy figures out the clues in his dad's book.
Which are not that sophisticated.
No, they're really not.
They're on the pillars.
And there's a big, and the big X.
There's an X.
X marks the spot.
Like,
yeah. He had just said it doesn't.
Yeah.
In class.
This was the first time I had noticed the 3-beat runner of Venice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and we saw that accurate depiction in the other Sean Connery film of how you would take Venice down in a domino building.
God damn it.
But in the right car, you could outrun that domino effect.
You could, in the right car.
By driving over the buildings and under them.
Wow. I can't believe this is the second movie with Sean Connery that takes place in Venice we've done on the show.
This is probably why he took that movie. He's like, ooh, Venice.
Oh, Venice.
Like, you're not really in
rarely
Venice
get
in
that.
this movie.
He wasn't really in Venice in that movie.
And then that's why he took that movie, is because he actually got to go to Venice.
I like that they seem to always in every movie cover their tracks in a historic way. Those columns they mentioned were, spoils of war. They weren't built in Venice. They're not from Venice. So
Yeah.
it does connect them back to the region
Yeah.
of the Grail. Little things like that I appreciate. That's Steven Spielberg for you.
Yeah. Absolutely. So they go underneath, they break the floor, go into the catacombs beneath. Indy and Elsa head down there.
I'm sorry. That was a moment that really reminded me of Buster Keaton, the librarian and the sound matching the stamp.
Yeah.
And him looking at the stamp. Because Harold Lloyd, he was the physical comedian. Buster Keaton was the face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like,
yeah, he had the flat pan.
A fun touch. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's see. Marcus waits in the library. He gets knocked unconscious almost immediately by a group of men in fezzes.
They work for that monkey.
Yeah.
The Nazi monkey.
They drove there in their little cars.
Shriners?
Little monkey cars. Why is he wearing a business suit? Why is he so professional?
In the catacombs, Indy and Elsa find the corpse of one of the Crusade brothers with an inscribed shield.
The Crusade brothers.
Which completes.
Is this Mario Crusade or Luigi Crusade?
Well, the one is named Crusade. It's an inexplicable reason.
It's Waluigi.
So, okay, there's oil in this little cavern. Right?
Yeah.
Like petroleum. He says petroleum.
Yeah.
There's no way people would not have discovered that petroleum and slurped that shit out of the ground for money.
That is true. And also, when
that's easy to get to.
Also, they're pretty free and easy with that torch.
And it's totally dripping burning fuel into the water.
Well, what's interesting is that when the dude in the fez lights it lights, accurately because it would be the surface of the water.
Yeah.
But when they first discover it's petroleum, it looks like it's literally bubbling up.
Yeah.
So that it's as if they're standing in like pure crude, which you're right about the torches and shit. But then later the diving thing, which again makes scientific sense, but when they first get in, it seems like bubbling ooze. It feels like a Beverly Hillbilly, like under the ground.
We've struck oil.
Maybe in that one room, it was a pool of the bubbling ooze that then seeped over into the water-filled catacombs in other rooms.
I can buy that.
I thought it was just like gas, natural gas coming up, not necessarily ooze bubbling up. But
it just looked black and tarry to me.
Yeah, but also then like dipping it in there, you can't like dip a torch in natural gas.
Oh, that's right. He did dip the torch too.
Yeah, he ripped off the sleeve, dipped it carelessly,
there was definitely
and then asked for the Zippo.
There's definitely petroleum, but it bubbles gas.
And also in search of he's continuing as he did in Raiders to just destroy priceless archaeological artifacts in pursuit of the one thing that he's after.
Yeah, that he's like, this is the rest of that tablet. Yoink. Throws it over.
Yes. Yeah, no. He opens up the coffin and just throws it into the water, and then
that's the skeleton of a Knight of Templar. Like that. That's like finding Jesus, sort of. You know what I mean? Wow, this really backs up a lot of the shit we thought about the Crusades. But he's all, no.
All I need is this. Yeah, scribbling. Yeah. So all right.
Yeah, I'm gonna do an etching. Yeah. Anyway.
So there's the fire. There's the deal with the rats. They get out of the catacombs.
I mean, to be fair, sewers. It's Venice. There are no catacombs. You dig 4 feet and it's water.
Yeah. Hey,
think about that.
They went underground in Venice.
Yeah, hard to do. But we'll let it slide.
And they came out of a sewer in Venice.
Yeah. Yeah, they keep going down levels. There's no
That
levels.
actually makes me wonder, how does the plumbing system in Venice work?
They shit in the ocean. It goes right into the water.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I mean, I bet they treat it at this point, but for centuries.
Yeah. For centuries. Eva Braun wasn't the only brown in Venice.
Weird.
I know. I was trying to do a callback and it didn't work out.
It did.
Then we get the big speedboat chase, and they
Which is fun.
that was a fun chase. The Fez guys end up just the one guy left alive, and again a big choppy thing is coming at him.
Yeah.
So many big choppy things coming at Indy.
This is a huge, dangerous stunt also.
Yeah.
They're like conveyor belting that boat with 2 stuntmen into a blade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I think after
fascinating.
Jaws, Steven was like, I can handle anything. You want stunts in the water? Let's do stunts in the water. I don't care.
I'm a god.
lived
I'm not
through
the
that.
god, a god. Very much every movie he made after that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, I can make it look real. Holy shit.
But the aggravations that he put up with making Jaws, I'm sure every movie after that he was like, yeah, we can try that stunt.
He's like, yeah, whatever. It's good. Yeah. So
I do want to say, I think that the Fez guys are the weakest part of the movie. I wish that side conspiracy had been a little bit stronger, if anything. Because when we get to it is Dr. Jones when they're shooting at them, I was like, damn, that doesn't deliver at all. Because everybody's confused as to who these sneaky dudes and Fezes are.
Yeah, well, yeah, and also like it leads to nothing really, because the sneaky guys after this guy tells him where his dad is, and then afterwards they get killed in the desert, and that's all they do. It's kind of a dead end of a
And it was like in Raiders, like where there's this anonymous group of Arab, for lack of a better word, Arab characters that aren't necessarily bad like the Nazis, clearly defined, but sometimes you think maybe they're working too set. So it was like they did stick them in because of that element.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
But
I don't know. I guess because the Nazis were constantly looking in the Holy Land for shit like that. So
yeah. They're the Secret Order of the Cruciform Sword. He tells Indy, and it's like, well, you killed all my friends, but now we're good.
I didn't know you were an LLC. I didn't know you were an actual organization.
Like, that was a weird point where he's like, I'm after you, Indy, and now I'm not.
Well, and just because he said I'm not looking for the Grail, I'm looking for my father.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is all just a misunderstanding.
Where you killed 7 of my best friends.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, this was a personal thing?
Indiana Jones's murder count is big in this one.
Oh yeah, dude. He kills a lot of people in all 3 of these movies.
Yeah.
He has no such code of honor.
None whatsoever. So yeah.
But to be fair, a lot of times he's in a kill or be killed situation.
Yeah.
You know.
So
that moral quandary is just a whole different thing.
It's in the Boy Scout code. It's kill or be killed.
Yeah, that's Sun Tzu's Eagle Scout handbook.
Trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, murderous.
Go for the
when
eyes.
necessary.
When you're helping an old lady across the street, if the truck's barreling down, you push her to the ground and run.
You suplex.
Courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. Yeah, that's the list.
And whatever you pack in, you pack out.
Right? Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
Take pictures, leave footprints.
Only who can prevent forced fires?
And maybe don't put things in museums.
He can't even prevent fires underneath the catacombs
of Venice. It's on the water. Anyways.
It's underwater.
Yeah. So, Kazim, their leader, tells Indy that Henry is being held at a castle in Austria. Back at their hotel, Indy and Marcus discover a map to the Grail in his dad's book. They figure out that it begins in Alexandretta. Indy gives Marcus the map and sends him to the country of Iskenderun to rendezvous with Sala. Then
Alexandretta.
Then discovering their rooms have been ransacked, Indy tells Elsa about the diary, and then they do the sexy sex.
Which I think is fun. They both think they're so incredibly irresistible.
Yeah.
They start sort of bickering.
Yeah, no. All of this is great. I just wasn't impressed by the actress.
Same here. It's all about these two guys.
Yeah.
The swiveling of their heads.
Yeah.
As if there's any position that would allow them to look at each other.
When Sean Connery and Harrison Ford are tied up to chairs together, that is like, they're like Laurel and Hardy, the Marx, like they're perfect.
And it makes you personally think about like being in some sort of life or death scrape with your dad.
And
you know what I mean? Like we've all tried to do simple chores with our fathers and couldn't get anything fucking right.
Oh my God.
Imagine.
Well, and I'm on both sides of that too. It's really hard. It's a fine line, not paying forward that dad energy, like paying forward the right dad energy of being there and like being supportive and being chill, but not paying forward. They're like, no, God damn it, the flathead.
Right. Again, I saw she was like, some chick told me she had a daddy fetish, so I smacked her on top of the head and told her to keep the fucking flashlight straight.
They head Indy and Elsa head to Austria, where they infiltrate the castle. Him trying to pretend to be Scottish was amazing. They discover it's under Nazi control. Indy finds his dad and tries to escape, but they get caught by the Nazis. He surrenders after he believes Elsa is going to be shot by the Nazis, but she reveals that she herself is a collaborator.
I'm a Nazi sympathizer. I sympathize with them.
Like, oh, that must be really hard for you. Tell me more about the Jews.
Not to get hurt.
Indy and Henry get tied up while Elsa and Donovan head towards Berlin with the diary. Donovan, of course, is also working the Nazis. We cut to Marcus, who arrives in Iskenderun and gets captured by Nazis almost immediately, even with Sala.
He had a line that I don't think I noticed before because it's just when he's wandering through the crowd and talking to the people that are talking to him. He says, "Oh, water? No, thank you, sir. Fish make love in that."
Yeah.
Which was a take on an old W.C. Fields line that I think was a little dirtier.
Yeah. Yeah. He also has the line, does anyone speak English or ancient Greek?
Something just dawned on me. In Raiders, we talked about how at least I had always thought he worked at Oxford or something because British Museum. But now it kind of ties in because his dad is Scottish. Like, he probably spent a lot of his youth over there. He's probably spent a lot of time in the British Museum following his dad around. Like, sorry, It just hit me like, oh, that is that connection. It's not a loose end.
That actually just occurred to me, him pretending to be Scottish and his dad is actually Scottish.
Right.
You didn't get that it was a Connery impression?
It was, yeah.
was a really bad Connery.
You need that lisp. He has a lisp, but not just an accent.
Yeah. I was going into this wondering if Connery was trying to do an American accent, then realized he's just doing a Connery accent.
Yeah, I don't think he is. He lived in Utah because he's an archaeologist.
Yeah, I got the feeling they traveled a lot when
I'm
he
sure.
was young. Yeah.
And I think that's why I always kind of thought that he was affiliated with the British Museum in one way or another, instead of that university in California.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, maybe Henry Sr. was.
Right. Maybe Henry taught at Oxford or something.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, layers.
Yeah.
It's like Shrek. It's like Shrek, really.
Everything is like Shrek.
Yeah, it all goes back.
Because it's also Shrek all the way down.
Because it's swamplicated.
It's just a pile of Shrek.
Swamplicated.
I didn't make that up. I can't.
Indy and Henry escape the castle. We get a big motorcycle chase. Indy wants to head to the desert, but his dad tells him there are descriptions in the book of the traps at the temple where the Grail is. So they need to get the book. So they head to Berlin to get the diary.
I love that he doesn't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's why I wrote it down.
It's like, those are the things that you remember. Those are important.
I think they both had undiagnosed ADHD.
Oh, yeah.
I think they both received a lot of head injuries over the years.
That's a great point, too.
Yeah. So, in Berlin, they get the diary from Elsa pretty easily. Then Indy bumps into Hitler.
Yeah, I was at Whole Foods. And there he was.
And like having to pretend. Big fan. Can you just sign my book, please? Oh my
Signing the diary.
He opens up his shirt and it's like, will you sign my chest?
The idea disgusts me, but imagine the value of an Adolf Hitler autograph.
Yeah.
Oh,
holy shit. Oof. Well, especially in the map to the Holy Grail journal.
Especially then, yes. But especially Bart.
I love that Hitler had the book in his hand to sign it.
Yeah.
And like could have just yoinked the thing out of his hand.
Well, and that's the thing is that Hitler actually doesn't know about this one because the Nazis, they're working with the Nazis, but I don't know how, but it's Donovan who's like after it. I feel like it's a little less Nazi. I feel like the Nazis are a little less in on it than they were the Ark. Like the Nazis are like, yeah, sure, we'll get the Grail. We want the Grail, but like they weren't. They're like, but we're gonna make you do it, Donovan. We're not gonna be like intimately involved this time.
Yeah.
So, whereas like, and he like was talking about how Hitler in Raiders, Hitler was like after the Ark. He's like, bring me the Ark. I get the feeling in this one, like Hitler didn't really know what was going on.
There's no correct way. There was a lot he didn't know because the Nazi power structure, they love bureaucracies. So there was a minister for every little tiny.
Yeah. Well, and
I mean, other than creating the entire mess, like Hitler wasn't even around when they decided the final solution. Like he wasn't even there. We knew that he supported it.
Sure.
But you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm with you. Like there were expeditions happening and he didn't rubber stamp everything.
Yeah. I mean, any head of any majorly sized state is not going to know everything.
He doesn't make every call.
Yeah. So good. I'm glad we cleared that up about Hitler.
Look, credit where credit is due.
Terrible person.
Just like
moderate at delegation, I guess.
Yeah. Well, the old argument, Hitler made the trains run on time. Well, it wasn't Hitler. It was more like the Department of Transportation.
It was the
and also, where were those trains
shot going? In the head. Well, yeah. What are we really?
Yeah, where were the trains going on time?
Are we really admiring the trains in Germany?
Yeah, that's not.
Let's talk about the Autobahn.
If we're gonna say
he did make the Autobahn run on time.
Yeah, let's avoid the trains. Jesus, let's not avoid the trains. That's fucking terrible.
Yeah. Okay. So,
but I love
just like punched Hitler in the face.
Like I love Captain America. Any dim-witted celebrity. He assumes that that's all that's about an autograph.
Yeah. Yeah. So after
he was an idiot by all accounts.
Arguably one of the first like big celebrity figures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
and they're in Berlin. Like if they ran
yeah.
each other in New York, it'd be like, why does he want? But yeah, everyone there wants it. It's like a Trump rally.
Yeah,
they want a
people
picture
are
with him. They want an
screaming
autograph.
his name and touching him
Yep,
and stuff.
I want to touch him. So yeah, he wouldn't even think twice. Like he was Kanye.
No.
Kanye. After recovering the book from Elsa, Indy and Henry book a flight out of Germany on a Zeppelin. We get
this is cool.
Yeah.
This is really cool.
Yeah, we get there's all the bit where he like punches the Nazi out of the Zeppelin with no tickets. Then him and his dad get to talk. Go ahead, Al.
Before that, Henry is reading the newspaper upside down.
Yeah.
Just sitting at the table.
So bumbling. I love that they are.
I always think of Dogma because that's what Silent Bob's one word is.
Yeah.
Ticket.
No ticket.
Yeah.
I've always thought of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it turns around when they're in the air. So they escape in a plane that was attached to the Zeppelin. We get the big action sequence with the two Luftwaffes pursuing them. It has the fun thing where they like go through the tunnel, and then like the birds take out the second one.
Shooting out the tail.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What does he say? He's like, they've got us.
Yeah. No. He's like, were we hit? More or less. I'm sorry, son. They got us. Let's see. They arrive in Hatay, where Sala reveals to Indy and Henry that the Nazis have also arrived there using the map. The Nazis make friends with the local king, or sultan, whatever that guy's title is, who gives them some men and horses and camels and a tank in exchange for a Rolls Royce.
and a Whitman sampler.
Yeah.
Did they? I thought they brought the tank themselves.
No. He said he'll give them a tank. Yeah.
The tank stunts are so cool.
The tank. Yeah. Out in the desert, following the trails, the Nazis get attacked by the Order, but they defeat them. Henry then sneaks into the tank to try to rescue Marcus, but he gets captured. Indy attacks the Nazi convoy. The whole bit here with Sala and the camels was hilarious.
Uh-huh.
I said, no camels. That's 5 camels. Can't you count?
It's to repay his brother for the car?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, Yeah, which got blown up because he said, we're way out of range. And then they blow the car.
Yeah. And I love how the tank stunt scene harkens back to the River Phoenix. So, holding on to those things that are attached to the, I guess not wheels, but gears of and then the dirt wall in between them. And
this was a great action sequence, the whole tank thing. And
and old Harry Ford did a lot of them.
Yeah.
Himself.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. And what's great is that it's not just Indy. We get to see Sala and Henry and Marcus doing stuff too.
It was like the first one with Marion and where the second one there were two people. Short Round did shit, but they were along for the ride.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the first one and this one, everybody's all in
to
win.
Yeah, it was great. I love the fact that it's now like he has a group of like pals, like it's his gang, like they're all
so satisfying.
Team Indy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
The best NASCAR team you'll ever see.
So yeah, the tank ends up going over a cliff with Indy on it. Henry, Marcus, and Sala think he's dead, but he crawls back up. It does the classic, like, what are we looking at? Yeah, like you said, Looney Tunes. So many classic like cartoon and classic comedy jokes in this.
And those old time serials that
Yeah.
Spielberg and Lucas loved to go see. Like, did he fall off the cliff? You know he didn't fall off the cliff, but you're waiting to see that he didn't.
Yeah,
just fun.
I loved like when he just sits on the ground and Connery's like, "Come on, we're almost there. What are you waiting for?" And he's just like so beat up and so tired.
Yeah, because they're two different kinds of archaeologists, which Indy even says. Like, my dad's an academic. He sits around books.
Yeah, he's not a field guy.
So he can't grasp just how fucking physically taxing what Indy does.
Yeah.
Is.
So
just fun dynamics.
Yeah, so they go to the temple containing the Grail where they watch the Nazis attempting to get through the traps. They get captured. Donovan forces Indiana to find a way for them by shooting Henry in the gut, telling him the Grail's the only way to save your father now. So with the help of the diary, Indiana gets through the traps. The first one is only the penitent man, and it's a big blade that cuts off people's heads.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like if you're the second guy to go through, and you see the body there without the head, the first thing I'm going to do is maybe like duck or crawl. Like, sure, the second blade will get me.
Yeah.
See, I don't understand why the knight wasn't going out and like fishing the bodies out, and, like cleaning up after them.
Well, I have some questions about the trap and the knight and the temple in general, but I was going to save it for unanswered questions. But so yeah, then the second one is the name following, I don't know, the footstep, the name, God's name or something like that. But it starts with an I in Greek. Latin, sorry. In Latin. So he gets through that, and then the last one is the leap of faith, where there's basically the world's best matte painting on top of the ledge.
I think this is a cool visual effect.
Super cool. For 1989, like, you're kind of left to wonder like how they did it.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun. I think it's
everything fun. Temple related gets really, really fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
And fascinating.
That's why of all of the like adventure going through old traps and kind of things, movies, shows, anything there ever was, like, Indiana Jones is the best one because it had fucking Spielberg and Lucas doing it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They're on Legend of Zelda levels of like temple puzzles.
Absolutely.
Well, and they realized right away, probably George first, that like it doesn't need to be accurate. We're in a world. They've transported us into worlds. Don't ask so many questions.
Yeah, just go along for the ride.
Go along for the ride. It's a space opera.
Yeah.
Just check it out.
Yeah, right, absolutely. Anyway. Yeah, so they get through into the room with many cups and an ancient knight.
So they went to a Crate and Barrel.
Yeah.
Bed Bath and Beyond. The Beyond is religious artifacts.
It's like, well, yeah, welcome. The price is on the bottom, guys. You don't have to keep asking. Yeah, so Donovan comes in and with the help of Elsa drinks from the wrong cup, dying a very rapid aging. India
this was help, right? She was trying to get him killed because she gave a little smirk.
Yeah,
after he drank
she was doing it on purpose. Absolutely.
So this whole setup, I remember it was about that age when I started getting interested in history and like mythology and religious occult artifacts, and the way they explain what cup would actually be this humble carpenter's cup, it just like hit so hard. Like, of course it wouldn't be bejeweled and bedazzled.
Yeah,
he wasn't Christ yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's Jesus of Nazareth. And so I just remember being like, yes, of course it's the hand carved.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah.
I thought it was so fascinating.
So yeah, Indy takes the right one, drinks from it, and he goes and uses it to save his dad.
Brought a few loaves and fishes, got a party started.
Yeah.
I have unanswered questions about this.
Yeah.
So many unanswered questions.
I have some too. None of them are important as far as the movie goes. Just like,
yeah.
Because like Josh said, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that it doesn't make sense. A lot of it, we're along for the ride. That doesn't matter. But
there's still,
But this is a podcast, so I have some questions.
Yeah, we should.
I'm not invested in it. I just want to know.
So anyways, Elsa gets greedy. She tries to leave with the Grail, but ends up falling to her death in a chasm that opened up when she crossed the seal with the Grail that the Templar Knight told him not to cross. Indy falls in, and he thinks he can reach it too, but then his dad tells him to let it go. Like, talking about no humanity. Like, that's like,
his father calls him Indiana
for the first time.
For the first time he acknowledges it. Yeah.
Like,
he stops dead naming him for the first time.
Yeah. So he saw him in action. He understood the mystique. Before, he thought it was ridiculous to even have mystique.
Yeah.
But yeah, talk about the humanity. There's definitely humanity in this.
That and like he's given, like, it was his life's work, not Indiana's. And he's telling Indiana, just let it go. It's not important.
It's not important.
Our, like, us surviving, our relationship, that's what was important. That's what the movie was about.
It's the friends you made along the way.
Yeah.
The dad you made along the way.
Yeah. The dad you annoyed along the way.
But yeah, I mean, it wasn't overly emotional. It wasn't I love you, Dad. I love you, son.
Yeah.
You know, it was an understanding of each other's roles, you know.
And
Indy thought his dad was boring looking through all those books. His dad thought he was silly pretending to be an adventurer.
And played by two of the most charismatic movie stars that have ever existed.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so Indy and his gang managed to escape. I like how the Nazis or the guys, whoever they were, after this happened, they just threw down their guns. They're like, "Fuck it, let's go."
Oh, wonder how many Germans did that, and good for them.
Yeah,
it's like, you know what? Fuck this. Just dropped their packs and walked.
Yeah. So yeah, they get some horses and literally ride off into the sunset, which they held for a long time. I mean, obviously this was intended to be the final Indy movie for a long, long time. They ride into the sunset.
It starts with this glaring sun and horse. Yeah.
It's so what's his name? Marcus is falling off of his horse as I know the way, and he yells and they ride away.
Whoa.
Throughout this entire shot, Marcus is still falling off of his horse, and Indy rides up to him, lifts him, and puts him correctly back on his horse as they all fall into frame together in front of the sun. It's one of the most choreographed horseback shots I've ever seen.
And it's all done in silhouette.
Saddles. And it's like they had a short time frame to do this in. Like,
well, yeah, and the way he frames that sun and gets the sun to be so gigantic, that is some serious masterclass cinematography, directing. Like, oh my God.
It's his a little nod to his mentor, John Ford.
Yeah.
You know,
oh, absolutely.
Think of how many John Ford westerns just ended.
And again,
the Desperado rode out of town.
And like it says
to another.
And like it says in the Fablemans,
yep.
If the horizon is low, interesting. If the horizon's high, interesting. In the middle, not interesting.
I teach that in my cartooning class because, you know, children want to draw two figures standing, looking right at each other, full body. So yeah, use that exact same technique. Like, this is the least interesting. Yeah, it's awesome. And that was a great scene. David Lynch is John Ford.
Oh my God, that was a great scene. Yeah. David Lynch. So yeah, fucking great movie. I love this movie.
It's my favorite one. I know that's probably sacrilege with Raiders, but it's my favorite one.
I feel like Raiders is one of those movies. It's like it's a perfect movie, but it isn't my favorite of these three. This one's is also my favorite.
To even use George, like Empire is hands down my favorite, but I can't talk shit about Star Wars. Can't possibly.
Yeah. So unanswered questions. Brian,
are the Jones boys now invincible?
Immortal?
Or immortal, I should say. Because that doesn't make you invulnerable. It just means that you can't die by aging.
So what I got was if you leave the temple, the immortality stops. The reason that knight lived so long and his brothers didn't was he stayed there in the temple.
That makes sense.
Oh. He spent a lot of time around the cup.
Yeah. So, but then that leads to the question of, is the knight immortal now that the cup fell down the big hole and the temple kind of started breaking up? Or is he about to die now?
Does he get to die?
Yeah. Does he get to die now?
Yeah. I mean, is he technically still guarding it? No one took it out.
Yeah.
It just fell into the grail hole.
The grail hole. And also, so Jude brought up an interesting point. He was like, this guy really wants to die at this point, but he has to wait for someone to kill him because if he commits suicide, he goes to hell.
It's true. I wonder if he would die if he purposely drank from the wrong goblet.
Well, that'd be suicide then.
No, I know. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I love suicide's illegal and a sin.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay. So did the knights set up those traps and this temple, or was it already there and they just?
I think they set it up. I think all three brothers set it up, and they decided to go back to Europe and stayed.
And they had to buy all those cups.
Yeah,
exactly.
That was the
they
other
went to
thing.
swap meets.
Did they bring all those cups with them, or did they like get to this place, set it up, and they're like, well, now we got to go out and get cups?
Yeah, somebody hit a Goodwill.
Yeah. So
wait, did the three brothers did they bring the cup to this place, or did they find it there? And one of them stayed.
I felt like they found it and then constructed the temple to protect it, and only one brother stayed. That's my feeling.
Well, then
did they put it around that oil on purpose? Oh wait, that's not where the cup is. Never mind.
Well, but then also the question is, okay, so they set up this temple and all that, and it can't. How does the cup? If they set up the temple, how does the earthquake happen when the cup crosses the seal? Was that their magic with God that they set up? It seemed like it was more ancient, but that was a Knights Templar seal. It wasn't like an ancient, like 2,000-year-old Aramaic something or whatever.
Right. Maybe they had like a gentleman's agreement with God.
Yeah, I mean, maybe God just built the temple.
Yeah, I mean,
because God loves to take the long way around.
Yeah.
He's like, I need to protect this thing. I'll make a building.
One question. I'll make a building. When the big saw blade that cuts off people's heads came through, it had already gone at least once, but there were still all of the cobwebs up when the second dude went.
Godly webs.
Fast-moving spiders.
They just
immortal spiders. They just built it.
So yeah, what happens if a horse drinks from the wrong cup? Will the horse wither and die?
Yes.
What if it drinks from the right cup? Is the horse immortal?
Yes, is the answer to both of those, I think.
So
you'd think
can horses be redeemed in the eyes of God and enter into heaven or whatever? Because if not, I don't believe. I need horses in heaven for me.
If there are animals in heaven, yeah, what a dragon. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so if all right. So to my understanding, Henry Sr. found out she was a Nazi, and then the Nazis kidnapped him and took him to that castle in Austria. And then she called Donovan, who's also a Nazi, who must have known about him getting kidnapped. And then Donovan called Indy to find his dad.
They used Dad getting captured to draw Indy into this because Dad stopped helping, but they still needed they still needed the second marker, which they couldn't figure out the X.
Dad stopped helping, and they knew Indy wouldn't be able to not like follow the trail of clues because he's Indy.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense. So then they also Donovan. I assume Donovan was the one that like ransacked Henry Sr.'s house then. Like
yeah.
Versus goons.
Yeah.
No. She ransacked her own room. Remember?
No. In America.
Oh, the house.
The house.
Yeah, his house in Utah.
Or
yeah.
Did they go to Utah? It seemed like it was in the same town
house.
almost. Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah. Who knows? But okay. I don't know. Any other unanswered questions or final thoughts?
No.
Maybe if they had found the book at Henry's house, they wouldn't have gotten Indy involved.
That's a good point.
But it was that day.
But I'm sure they ransacked the house first looking for the book, and then they went to go grab Indy.
Same day, yeah. And then Indy went straight from the party to the house.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, that's all I got, guys. Any last thoughts?
No, I think it's one of those perfect cinematic experiences.
Yeah.
You know, it
absolutely
delivers all the way through. I'm Gene Siskel.
Yeah. Fucking Gene Siskel.
This has some of the most incredible sequences of stunts still to this day.
Yeah. So good.
And the richest character dynamics, the richest relationships.
Yeah. It's just an incredible movie. And again, the chemistry between Ford and Connery is incredible. They are such a great on-screen team.
And anything that would be mimicking this would not capture that same level of like humanity.
No, that's the Spielberg in it.
Yeah. No, Spielberg is just so good at those little things that do so much.
Right. It's true.
So, all right. That means next week on Harmless Phosphorescence, we will be watching Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls. Is it as perfect a cinematic experience as The Last Crusade?
I like big ants. I like them. I like big ants.
And you can, yeah.
I like bob cuts. I don't know. Tall boots.
Tall boots.
You like large. You like tall blonde elven women being evil.
Yes. I say we give Galadriel the ring.
I've only seen that movie once. I was so disappointed with it in the theater. I have not revisited it. So
I watch it every once in a while just because it's bad, and I like to watch bad movies sometimes.
So that'll be interesting. Yeah. Next week, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Until then, thanks for hanging out with us on Harmless Phosphorescence. This has been your host, Through Smiley, and I, too, just like Indiana Jones, hate Nazis.
I'm Josh Cece, and if you ain't got a hat, you ain't got shit.
I'm Brian Lesh, and I'm as human as the next man, but no to the Nazis, man.
I'm like a bad penny. I just keep turning up. I'll be here next week. I'm Alaric Weber.
Bye, everybody.